A mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard continues.
Will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of...
In a stunning turn of events, embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard finds herself at the center of chaos and controversy, with many declaring this the end of her political career. Once celebrated as Dalton's youngest and first female mayor, Henyard's tenure has taken a sharp downturn amid mounting scandals. Federal investigations loom, lawsuits pile up, and the community, frustrated with her leadership, has begun speaking out in outrage. Initially seen as a rising star and a symbol of hope, for Dalton's struggling residents, Henyard was expected to bring positive change. Instead, her time in office has been overshadowed by allegations of financial mismanagement, corruption, and neglect. Reports of taxpayer-funded luxury trips and her absence from key meetings during a government shutdown have only fueled the public's anger and disappointment. Despite mounting pressure, Henyard seems indifferent to the growing consequences of her actions. As the walls close in, her once promising political career appears to be unraveling faster than anyone could have anticipated. With federal investigations intensifying and public discontent rising, the drama surrounding Henyard's leadership shows no signs of slowing down.
Henyard was not at the hearing here today, neither was her attorney, and she was not made available for...
This week, Mayor Tiffany Henyard faced intense backlash after skipping 2 major meetings in a single day, including an emergency session in Thornton Township convened to address the ongoing insurance crisis. Without proper insurance, critical services such as senior transportation, food assistance, and government building operations have ground to a halt. Residents are outraged, with one local describing Henyard's absence as a slap in the face to everyone relying on these essential services. Trustee Chris Gonzalez captured the community's frustration, stating, "We're on a toll road of chaos right now, and unfortunately, the residents are the ones paying the toll." However, the situation took an unexpected turn when Henyard cited credible threats as her reason for missing the meetings, claiming concerns for her safety. Despite this, no evidence of these alleged threats has been provided. Senior trustee Jason House, a vocal critic of Henyard, dismissed the excuse, noting that the Board of Trustees had received no information about any credible threats. He emphasized that the meeting proceeded without her because the village's business couldn't be delayed any longer. Residents in attendance were equally skeptical, with one asking pointedly, "If she's so scared, why hasn't she stepped down? She's clearly not doing the job she was elected to do." The absence of concrete explanations has only deepened frustrations in a community already grappling with a crisis. Public frustration with Mayor Tiffany Henyard has reached a boiling point in Dalton, where protests erupted outside a village board meeting she failed to attend. Residents gathered to demand accountability, accusing Henyard of bringing embarrassment to the village and calling for her immediate resignation. Many compared her leadership to a chaotic reality show, describing the administration as more of a circus than a functioning government. The dissatisfaction isn't limited to Dalton. In Thornton Township, residents have also voiced their anger as Henyard campaigns to reclaim a spot on the ballot for township supervisor after being removed in a contentious Democratic caucus vote last month. The growing discontent reflects a community fed up with what they see as failed leadership and misplaced priorities.
It's about democracy and it's about hypocrisy.
I really think
criticism of Mayor Tiffany Henyard has intensified as residents argue that her repeated absences from meetings are not just a political issue but a legal one, given her obligations as mayor of Dalton and supervisor of Thornton Township to fulfill her public duties. Protesters accuse Henyard of neglecting her responsibilities, with some even calling for her removal from office, viewing her actions as a dereliction of duty. Frustration has reached a boiling point as critics claim she deliberately avoids meetings to evade tough questions from trustees and the public. Her absence during the Thornton Township emergency session, for instance, left the board unable to address the ongoing insurance crisis, which continues to affect hundreds of residents. Trustee Chris Gonzalez underscored the gravity of the situation, stating, "This isn't just politics anymore. This is about people's lives. We can't keep stalling while our seniors and families suffer." Many believe Henyard's strategy of avoidance signals that she recognizes her time in office may be nearing its end.
Again, no comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral election.
Supporters of Mayor Tiffany Henyard argue that she is not solely to blame for the dysfunction in Dalton and Thornton Township, asserting that long-standing political rivalries and systemic issues predating her tenure are at the heart of the turmoil. "This isn't just about Tiffany," said one supporter outside a recent township meeting. "This is about a broken system that needs fixing. She's not perfect, but at least she's trying." Despite this defense, even some of Henyard's former allies are distancing themselves, citing her growing scandals and legal troubles as distractions that are harming the community. The controversial Democratic caucus has added fuel to the fire, with Henyard's supporters alleging they were locked out of the venue while State Senator Napoleon Harris and his allies secured a slate of candidates, including Harris himself, to replace her as supervisor. Henyard has called the process illegal and manipulative, filing multiple lawsuits to contest the results. Critics, however, accuse her of hypocrisy, pointing to her own alleged tactics of voter suppression and power grabs in Dalton. This inconsistency has left many residents questioning her claims of injustice and further deepened the divide within the community.
Bites in Thornton Township and in Dalton. Except in one case, Tiffany Henyard wants on a ballot, while in another, a Henyard ally was looking to keep her opponent.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard has also been active on the legal front, filing lawsuits against caucus organizers, the Thornton Township Democratic Party, and even her own trustees in Dalton, accusing them of conspiring to undermine her authority. However, these legal battles have sparked concerns about the financial burden they may impose. Many residents suspect that taxpayer money is being used to fund her legal efforts, prompting calls for greater transparency and accountability regarding the use of public funds. Frustration continues to mount as residents demand clarity on whether their resources are being misused to support Henyard's personal legal battles.
Unanimous, the objector's petition has been withdrawn.
Can't do that. Can't contest everyone that comes.
The allegations of financial mismanagement against Mayor Tiffany Henyard extend beyond mere speculation, as she has been under federal investigation for months, with probes examining unaccounted funds and extravagant spending on trips and events. One particularly striking example is an $85,000 concert that reportedly drew minimal attendance, raising questions about its necessity and benefit to the community. In another instance, $40,000 was spent on Amazon purchases in a single day without any clear explanation. Adding to the controversy, a limited audit of Dalton's finances conducted by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot uncovered a staggering $365 million deficit in the village's general fund, further intensifying concerns about fiscal irresponsibility under Henyard's leadership.
Manipulation. Nobody likes being manipulated, and when you get here, you know that's exactly what's.
Amid the ongoing controversies, it's no surprise that Mayor Tiffany Henyard's political allies are abandoning her. Even her attorney, Max Solomon, recently sought to withdraw from representing her in an eviction case involving unpaid rent on a property she allegedly vacated. The case, which has been pending since September, is yet another example of the turmoil surrounding Henyard. Court documents reveal that she and a co-owner owe over $133,000 in rent and damages. Although Solomon's motion to withdraw didn't specify his reasons, the move underscores the challenges of defending Henyard as her political and legal troubles continue to mount. Representing her now seems akin to trying to keep a sinking ship afloat.
We need some action, somebody that's actually going to do their job. How about that? Somebody that's come in, work for the people, not themselves, and have pictures all.
As the primary election looms, Mayor Tiffany Henyard finds herself increasingly isolated, with few options and dwindling support. Her primary opponent, Jason House, is capitalizing on the turmoil, emerging as a strong contender who promises to restore order and trust in Dalton. A lifelong resident of the village, House has centered his campaign on ethics reform and financial transparency, resonating with a community eager for change. "We need someone who's going to put the people first, not their own interests," House declared in a recent statement. Judging by the large and energized crowd at the last board meeting, many residents appear to share his vision for a new chapter in Dalton's leadership.
He's one of the most recognizable faces that's been on the news lately. Talking about the mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard.
While Jason House looks ahead with plans to move Dalton forward, Mayor Tiffany Henyard seems entrenched in the past, clinging to power as her support dwindles. Her repeated absences from crucial meetings, refusal to address the ongoing insurance crisis, and mounting legal battles leave many questioning her strategy, Is she attempting to weather the storm in hopes of salvaging her career, or merely stalling before the inevitable? One thing remains certain. With her credibility eroding and public frustration mounting, the clock is ticking, and Henyard's tenure appears to be nearing its end.
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Wow.
Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard calls.
Fan reactions to Tiffany Henyard's downfall have been brutally honest. One commenter captured the general sentiment, stating that she had a golden opportunity as a young black woman to make a difference in Dalton, but let her ego ruin it all, calling her actions disgraceful. Another suggested her absence from meetings might be due to a recent scandal involving a trustee's misconduct during a Vegas trip, with audio and FaceTime footage leaking of Trustee Holmes bragging about his shameful actions. Henyard's reluctance to address these issues, they argue, is part of her attempt to dodge the fallout. Meanwhile, residents are left to pick up the pieces of a government in disarray. Thornton Township's insurance crisis remains unresolved, leaving vulnerable populations without essential services. Dalton's finances are in tatters, with no clear plan to address the massive deficit. As Henyard refuses to step down, the road to recovery seems long and uncertain. However, there is hope, as one resident put it during a protest. "We've been through tough times before, and we'll get through this too. But first, we need to clean house." With the primary election just weeks away, the question remains: will Tiffany Henyard finally face the consequences of her actions, or will she find a way to cling to power? Who has what it takes to lead Dalton and Thornton Township into a brighter future? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding saga. Stay tuned, because if there's one thing we've learned about Tiffany Henyard, it's that the drama is far from over.